You won't believe how much Tupac Memorabilia sold for. Tupac Shakur is probably the most well-known rapper of all time. There are murals of him painted across the world, from Brazil to South Africa and even Japan. Obviously, possessions of his are in high demand, from cars to chains to signed CDs. People are willing to spend hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars on Pac memorabilia. Before we start the video, make sure you subscribe to us as we upload every day, and don't forget to hit the like button if you're a Tupac fan. Number 12. Pac's first record contract. Starting off in the number 12 spot, we have the original copy of Pac's first ever record deal. In 1991, a young 20-year-old Tupac signed a deal with TNT Records. The deal wasn't very advantageous for Pac, with him only keeping half of his earnings from the music he released through the label. He soon released his debut album, Tupacalypse Now, under TNT Records, which is now a gold-certified album, meaning it sold over 500,000 copies. The contract, which features his signature 3 times, ended up being sold for $8,000 in 2017 at an auction. Number 11. Pac's Dolce & Gabbana jacket. He frequently wore this made-in-Italy, knit-wool, loose-fitting Dolce & Gabbana jacket. Dolce is a luxury designer brand, so the piece was already expensive when he first bought it in the 90s. Along with the jacket is a letter of provenance written by one of Pac's friends, which is a type of document that increases the value of a collectible by providing proof of its authenticity. Bids for this piece started at $6 grand, with the winning bid eventually being accepted for $8,000. Number 10. Death Row chain.
What's a little disappointed in the Lakers tonight?
No, not at all. They played their best. It was a good game.
Yeah? Happy
How you
Magic's
doing?
back?
Yeah, very happy, very happy.
Great.
This all-gold 14-karat medallion has a lot of significance behind it, as not only was it a chain that Pac wore in his All Eyes on Me cover, it also just represents Death Row Records, which is probably the most notorious hip-hop record label of all time. The Game made an entire song about how, as a kid growing up in LA wanting to be a rapper, there was nothing he wanted more than a Death Row chain. Other prominent California hip-hop legends such as Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, and Suge Knight all had their own Death Row chains as well, which only adds to the amount a superfan would pay for an original one. The chain itself was estimated to be worth around $7,000, but it fetched over $15,000 at an auction. Number 9. License plates. Tupac had a lot of cars, but his favorite one was the 1995 Rolls-Royce Corniche 4. He was always driving it around and showing it off, so you would expect him to own it, right? Well, as it turns out, the car was actually in Suge Knight's name, aka he didn't really own it. Because of this, Pac's mother, Afeni, wasn't able to get ownership of it after he passed away, and it remained Suge Knight's, that is, until he got into financial trouble, went bankrupt, and sold the car off to the highest bidder, who happened to be memorabilia dealer Gary Zimmett. Gary sold the license plates and title separately from the vehicle, and they fetched $15,000. Number 8. Prison ID. When it comes to Shakur's life story, his stints in prison play a significant part. He wrote a lot of his songs in prison, and did one of his most famous interviews in New York's maximum security Clinton Correctional Facility. Pac's plastic laminated prison ID card ended up in the hands of auctioneers. The card has Pac's mugshot plainly displayed on the left, with his height, weight, and birthday detailed on the other side. And it's got a grungy look to it that just radiates maximum security prison vibes. It sold for between $15,000 and $20,000. Number 7. Notebooks. Nowadays, most rappers don't write their lyrics, choosing to just freestyle their songs off the top of their head in the booth. But in the 90s, almost every rapper wrote their lyrics. As far as rap and hip-hop memorabilia goes, old rhyme books are usually very sought after. 3 of Pac's handwritten notebooks were unearthed in 2016, along with a CD that contained unreleased music. The guy who sold these at auction found them through a Craigslist ad for baseball cards. Miraculously, the guy selling the baseball cards also had some of Tupac's stuff, and his dad had apparently worked with the rapper for years. The notebooks contained Pac's own handwriting, with him discussing ideas for the Point the Finger music video, which sadly never came out. Though Pac's mother attempted to block the sale, These pieces of memorabilia ended up selling as a package for $20,000. Number 6. Nose ring. If you see a guy with a nose ring, you can thank Tupac for breaking down the stigma that used to come with having one, as he proved that wearing a nose ring doesn't mean you aren't tough. Much like his death row chain, this piece of jewelry is prominently displayed on the All Eyes on Me album cover, which increases the value and significance of the piece of jewelry. Made out of 14-karat gold and featuring a 15-point diamond, it has more than just nostalgic value. It was sold for $20,000 at auction. Number 5. Quran. This is when the prices start getting crazy. After going through various legal troubles, getting shot in New York, Pac began to study and adopt the Muslim faith as his own. He had his own personal Quran, which is the central religious text of Islam, and written on the inside was, "Property of Tupac Shakur." He took the book almost everywhere and read it on a daily basis. It was in near pristine condition when it sold for $30,000 at auction. Number 4. Crown Pendant.
Tupac Shakur, dog.
This is probably the second most unbelievable piece of Tupac memorabilia ever. It's his gold and diamond crown medallion with a dent on the bottom, believed to have been caused by a bullet striking it, likely in the shooting that ended his life. Apparently, a member of his family was in possession of this piece of jewelry, and to the disapproval of Pac's own mother, this unnamed family member sold it to memorabilia dealers who later put the pendant up for sale at auction. Pac's estate threatened to sue the person selling the pendant, and also anyone who actually attempted to purchase it. It seems that nothing came of the lawsuit Pac's estate threatened, and the piece was listed with a starting bid of $37,500, with it selling for a higher, undisclosed amount. Number 3. Thug Life is Dead letter. In May 1995, an incarcerated Tupac penned a letter titled, "Is Thug Life Dead?" To try to summarize it, the handwritten essay talks about how Pac believed the thug life lifestyle he had once glamorized was dead, and that his people are powerful enough to level up. It was him realizing that his transgressions as a young man were not worth it, and that his new mission was to uplift his community by teaching the youth not to make the same mistakes he did. A regular player plays women. A boss player plays life. A boss player is a thinker, a leader, a builder, a moneymaker, a soldier, a teacher, and most of all, a man, he wrote. It was initially listed for sale by memorabilia website Moments in Time for a firm price of $225,000. With no one biting at that price, they took a lower bid of $169,200 for the emotional letter. Number 2. Hummer H1. Just a month before his tragic passing, Tupac purchased a fully loaded 1996 Hummer H1. He personally customized the off-road vehicle. It's equipped with a 6.5-liter turbo diesel V8 engine, off-road lights, and a 360-degree spotlight. The interior is outfitted with burl wood with beige leather upholstery, a 12-disc Clarion sound system, and a Sony GPS system. For a while, the vehicle just couldn't seem to find an owner. While it was originally Tupac's, it sat in storage for years. Then in 2003, it somehow ended up being given away as a prize in a 2003 BET raffle. And in 2016, it was reported that it had been resold for $337,000, but the buyer flaked out. Following that, the vehicle was relisted at auction for a less expensive price point of $206,000, and it finally was purchased by an unnamed individual who's been enjoying it to this day. Number 1. BMW. At the number 1 spot, we have the bullet-ridden 1996 BMW 7 Series that Shakur was shot in during a drive-by in Las Vegas, which resulted in his untimely passing several days later. Originally being impounded by the Las Vegas Police Department, this vehicle changed hands many times, with it ending up in the hands of car dealership Celebrity Cars. They obtained the 750IL in late 2017 for an undisclosed price after its longtime owner fully restored it and put it on the market. And when I say fully restored, under the hood it practically looks brand new. You probably wouldn't guess it has 120,000 miles on it, although the indentations from bullet holes are still visible inside the door panels. It was shortly listed for sale online and put on display at the Celebrity Cars Las Vegas storefront for a hefty sum of $1.5 million. Apparently, multiple hip-hop artists, car collectors, and a high-profile European athlete all inquired on possibly purchasing the vehicle, and it even caught the attention of the Pawn Stars crew. The dealership received a $900,000 bid, which they declined, and as of today, they still haven't sold it. Maybe they should have accepted that offer.